Hello and welcome back. We are now at the final step of creating our EC2 instance, and this is going to be where we create our key pair that is going to be tied to our EC2 instance and used for login authentication. So over here on the Orion papers, let's click on key pair, and let's talk briefly first about what key pairs are. So EC2 key pairs are two cryptographically secure keys that are used by AWS to authenticate a client when logging into an EC2 instance. Each key pair consists of a public key and a private key. AWS stores the public key on the instance, and you are responsible for storing the private key. Now, it's very important to understand that in order to log into an EC2 instance, you must create and authenticate with a key pair, which is what we're going to do now. Now, Linux instances have no passwords, and you use your key pair to log in via the SSH protocol. With Windows instances, you use a key pair to obtain the administrator password and then log in using RDP, meaning the remote desktop protocol. Now, during the creation process of an EC2 instance, you're required to either create a new key or use an existing key pair, which will then be tied to the instance. Now, the private key is available for download and stored on your local device. However, it is only available once in the form of a .pem file. So let's take a look at how that actually works here. So at this step, we have to either choose an existing key pair, in which if you have existing key pairs, they will be listed here, or you can choose to create a new key pair. Now, it's important to understand that if you choose an existing key pair, that you know where this key pair is located, because if it's lost or it's been deleted, then you will not be able to log into this instance. So I'm going to choose to create a new key pair, and I'm going to call this key pair 1. And you can name it whatever it is that you would like. And then I'm going to click to download this key pair, and it's going to download it to my downloads folder of my computer. And I want to note where it's being downloaded to because I'm going to have to access it in a minute. But just remember that this is going to be the only time you can download the key pair. So if you don't download it here, then you will not be able to log into the instance. So we can then go on and launch instance. I'll click View Instances now. And we see here that our dev EC2 instance is now being provisioned by AWS for us. So we see here on the instance state, it says pending, and under status check, it says initializing. Now this may take anywhere from 1 to 3 to 4 minutes to complete. So what I'm going to do is basically just pause the video here and come back when that has finished. Okay, so the EC2 instance is currently running, although it is still undergoing some status checks. However, though, what I want you to look at is all the information that is now down below here. So by selecting the instance that you want, you can view all of the instance metadata. So you can view the instance type here being a T2 micro. You can see the availability zone that it is provisioned in. You can see the security groups that has been assigned to it. You can also see other information such as the VPC or the ID of the VPC that it has been launched in. Also, you can see the ID of the subnet that it's been provisioned into. And most importantly, you can see the public as well as the private IP address for this instance. And you can also see the name of the key pair that has been associated with this particular instance if you ever forget it and need to remember in order to log in using the correct key pair. Okay, so we now also see that both status checks have passed, so we can now log into the instance. And to do that, we can do one of two things. We want to check the instance that we want to log into, and we can either click Connect here or Actions and then Connect. And what this is going to do is actually not connect us directly, but it's going to give us a set of instructions that we need to follow in order to connect to the EC2 instance. The first thing that we need to do is actually go to the terminal and run the chmod command to change the permissions on the key pair file. Then what we need to do is run the SSH command, passing into it the name of our key pair file and the username and public IP address of the instance in order to log into the instance. So what I'm going to do is actually just grab this here, and I'm going to copy this. And then what I'm going to do is switch over to my terminal so I can log into the EC2 instance. Okay, so over on my console, the first thing I need to do is actually make sure that I'm in the correct directory. So I'm currently in my downloads directory, but I want to be in whatever directory I downloaded or moved my .pem file to. And I can see here that I do have my keypair1.pem file in this particular directory. So the first thing I need to do is run the chmod 400 command to change the permissions on the file so that it can be used by AWS. Okay, the permissions have been changed. I now want to run this SSH command, and what we're doing is we are passing in the .pem file for authentication, and we're using the username of EC2-user and the public IP address of the EC2 instance. So those are the parameters that we're using in the SSH command in order to authenticate and log into the EC2 instance. So here is going to ask me if I want to connect, and we'll say yes. And there we go. I'm currently at the command prompt logged in to my EC2 instance. So what I'm logged into right here is exactly what we were looking at right here. So this instance here is what we were just logged into through my terminal using the .pem key pair. And again, just to remember, if I were actually to lose or delete the key pair 1.pem file, then I would no longer be able to log into this EC2 instance. And I'd have to terminate it and provision a new instance. So it's very important to, one, securely store your .pem files, and also always remember where they are. So in summary, you should now have a very good understanding of how to correctly provision an EC2 instance, including a good understanding of all of its components, what they are, how they work, and why you may select different options within those components based on your type of application and how you want to design your architecture. And with that, we will conclude this lesson. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.